guys, what's up? It's Nicole, and today I'm going to give you 20 tips on how to be productive when you're bored. Now, we've all experienced it. We've all gotten back from school or from work, and we do everything we can. We watch TV, we play a game, maybe we read a book or something, but inevitably we end up bored, and we have nothing to do. Now, I'm going to help you. So if you're new to this channel, and you like this kind of content, hit the like button, subscribe, and also click the notification bell so that you're notified every single time I upload a new video. Now, let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to talk about with you guys is honestly one of my favorite things to do when I'm really bored and I have nothing to do, and that's watching TED Talks. There are a few of them that I actually like a lot, and I'm going to recommend them to you. So the first one is Everything You Think You Know About Addiction Is Wrong by Jahan Harry. I think that's Jahan Harry. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name entirely, but go and see it. The second one is The Future We're Building and Boring, and that's Elon Musk. I have a few others that I actually enjoyed listening to. I'll link them down below in the description if you guys are interested. The second thing I recommend you do if you're bored and you have nothing to do is create a bucket list. Now, a lot of people think that you're supposed to create these when you get older, but that's not true. You can start a bucket list anytime during your life. It's just a list of things that you want to do before you get too old to do them or before you die. Are there places you want to visit? Are there things you want to try out? Like have you always wanted to go snowboarding but you just didn't think about it? You can put that on your bucket list, or just whatever you want to do. Just sit down, take the time to write it out. The third thing is review your subscriptions. I highly recommend you go over all of your subscriptions. Things that you have for school or for work. Anything that you have that you pay for, I recommend you go and look at what you're actually paying, because you could be paying for something that you thought you got out of a long time ago. Then I'm going to tell you about a few programs that you can sign up for. The first being Truebill. Now, Truebill is an app, and you link it to your bank account, and the first thing it's going to do is it's going to connect to all of your subscriptions. It's going to tell you what you're paying and what time of month that's supposed to be paid. There are alternatives to Truebill. There's Trim and SubscriptMe. Then there's Track My Subs. Now, I've never used Track My Subs, but I have heard that it is free up to 10 subscriptions. Now, this is also very time consuming, which is why I recommend it if you want to be productive and find something to do when you're bored. Now, the next thing is make a list of movies that you want to see. I want you to sit down and write a pro and con list. Now, we all have to make decisions in life, whether that's where we're going to move, what kind of dog we're going to get, what kind of car we're going to get, whether we should get a car, what kind of insurance we should. There's all kinds of stuff that we have to make decisions for, and it can be really hard. It really can, and you can't always ask your parents or your siblings for help. So I recommend sitting down, writing a pro and cons list. Whichever one is longer than the other is exactly what you should go off of. If the pros outweigh the con, then it's definitely worth it. But if the cons outweigh the pros, then I think you should reconsider and try and find something else that you can do that's less risky. Unless you absolutely want to do this. If this is something you absolutely want to do, then don't pay attention to the cons, because this is something you want to do and you'll probably regret it if you don't do it later. Next, I want you to write a letter to your future self. It's one of the best ways to help yourself stay on track. Now, it doesn't matter if you're writing this for yourself for next month, or for the month after next month, or next year. It doesn't matter how long you keep the letter locked up. Just write a letter to your future self, and then however long of a period you're willing to wait, open it back up and see if you kept true to your word. The next thing you should do is play some chess. Sit down, play some chess. If you don't know how to, there's YouTube videos, there are books, there are apps, there's all kinds of information out there to help you learn. So just sit down and do it because you're not doing anything else, so why not? I highly recommend you sit down and read a book. Now I'm just talking about a straight old-fashioned paper book with pages that you can turn, because those kind of books help your eyes. It's just something that you can sit down and do. It doesn't matter what you're reading, whether you like romance books or science fiction or fan fiction, whatever you like, just sit down and read a book. You can go old-fashioned like some of the high schools do, and you can just read a regular old Hamlet book. The wording is kind of confusing, but it is Old English, and it helps your thought process. If you can understand Old English, you can probably understand much of anything. So I highly recommend you sit down and read a book, whether that's just for 30 minutes or an hour, however long you're interested in reading one, because it all depends on you. Next, I want to talk about taking on new responsibilities. Now, this one's not really something you can do at home unless you want to do online tutoring, but I'm mostly talking about getting out, going to schools, and volunteering. A lot of schools have programs where you can go and volunteer to help. You can tutor young kids or become a big sister, big brother. It's a program basically where you mentor a child and you teach them valuable lessons that they'll need throughout their lifetime. I highly recommend you do this because it's not only a new experience for you, but you're also imprinting on a child who may or may not have a bad home experience or who just needs someone outside of their immediate circle to talk to and get to know. Because you can have a lasting experience with a child, and they're going to take that with them forever, whether you're tutoring them or you're mentoring them. Your parents probably forced you to do this in high school or elementary school, or maybe you chose to do it, but I also recommend you take up a sport. Now, if you're no longer in school, you can still do this because there are open fields everywhere. There's the park or whatnot. You just take up a sport. There's videos on YouTube to help you if you need to. There's all kinds of different sports you can do, so just look up a few, see what's around you, what you can do, and what you can afford, and then I highly recommend it. The next thing I recommend is that you take the time to kiss on your dog. If you have a talent, whether that's singing or playing an instrument or drawing, then I highly recommend that you sit down and you work on that talent. It doesn't hurt to sit down and spend 30 minutes on your whatever talent you may have. If that's drawing, then sit down and spend 30 minutes drawing. If that's playing an instrument, sit down and use 30 minutes playing an instrument. But I do recommend that you work on your talents because they can go away, and they will if you don't use them for what they were intended. Do you do the same thing every morning? Have you had the same morning routine for the last year? Well, I recommend changing that. If you eat breakfast at the same time every day, or you eat the same thing for breakfast every day, I recommend sitting down and deciding on something different to do. It's actually pretty beneficial to change up your morning routine at least once a week, because when you do the same thing and it becomes so routine, it kind of becomes boring. Consider changing up your morning routine. It could actually make things a lot more interesting throughout the day, especially if you have a job that you don't like. You should also consider taking up yoga. If you can't afford to go to a yoga studio or you don't have one near you, then you probably have YouTube. And if you don't, then you're not watching this video. So if you do, There are lots of different yoga videos on YouTube. I'm probably going to recommend at least one. If you decide to try yoga, then go ahead and do it. It's on YouTube. There's DVDs and discs you can buy from Amazon or eBay or order in from the library. It all depends on you and what you want to do. The next thing I recommend kind of coincides with family night. And if you don't have a family night, you should probably start one, because everyone loves their family and you never know what's going to happen nowadays. So I highly recommend you start a family night and you play some board games. Now, board games have kind of gone out of fashion now that you have game systems like the PS4 and the Xbox and Nintendo and all that, but they're actually pretty beneficial, and they're a way for you to bond with the people you're playing the game with. It's entirely up to you, but I highly recommend you do it because it's entertaining, it's time consuming, it's productive, and it's allowing you to bond with your family and your friends. Next, I want you to consider learning origami. It's a nice way to recycle paper that you no longer use, especially if you want to give a gift to someone and you want it to be a small gift and it's not their birthday or anything like that. You just want to give something to them to let them know you've been thinking of them. Well, you can give them an origami butterfly or a rose or something that you took the time to make yourself. This next one kind of ties into number 15, and that is spending time with your relationships, whether that be your parents, your siblings, or your significant other. Because, like I said earlier, you never know how much time you actually have with someone. And so if you have free time and you're bored, then you definitely have time to spend with your family or significant other. So if you work all the time, then I recommend that you guys go out or you watch a movie or whatever it is that you want to do to help you guys bond and spend more time together, because time is one thing that we all don't have. So I recommend this I extremely recommend this, because it's important that you spend time with your family, because they can be there 1 second and gone the next, and you don't want to have the regret of knowing that you never spent any time with that person or people. Of course, this is something that you don't have to do, but it is something that you probably should do. Learn some new words. Now, this might be a weird one, but you don't really know your language all that well, because words and meanings to those words change every day and every year. There are all kinds of words out there for different meanings and for different professions, and I think that everyone should take the time to actually learn what they are, because you might never use them, but it would actually be nice and interesting to know them and have them, in your arsenal if you ever need to use them. So, take the time to learn some words. This one is just like number 18, and that is learning some quotes. Now, it's very important that if you look up to someone or someone's your idol or you know and respect someone, that you can quote them. One of my favorite quotes being, "You can never cross the ocean unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore." And if you're wondering who that quote is by, it's in the description down below. The last thing I recommend, number 20, is to write a handwritten letter. Now, earlier I said you should write a letter to yourself, and I meant that. I also think that you should write a letter to someone else. I know emails and texting is the way of today, and it is the modern ages, so people don't really write letters to each other anymore, but I think there's more emotion and intimacy behind writing a letter to someone. That happens to be all that I have for you guys today on this subject. I hope it's helpful to you. I hope it helps you be productive and not bored. If this helped you, let me know down in the comments below. Also, share this video so that you can help your friends and your family be productive as well, because not everyone knows how to be productive and some people are just sitting around bored. I also have a trailer reaction to Black Widow coming out in just a few hours, if you guys want to stick around and see that as well. Expect it to be out soon.